Back in the 80s and 90s, this little pocket rocket proved that you didn't need a massive V8 to have a blast. You just needed a high-revving engine and a chassis that felt like a go-kart. So, here's everything you need to know about the one and only Honda CRX. When the first gen hit the streets, let me tell you, it looked like absolutely nothing else out there. It was this tiny, angular little machine that honestly looked like a futuristic toy you'd pull out of a cereal box. But don't let that fool you, because it was packing some heavy-duty engineering under the skin. Because of its tiny dimensions, and depending on the trim and the market, it weighed around 1,800 pounds only. And to get it that light, and to fix the infamous rust issues that were eating up older Japanese cars, they got super experimental with materials. About 40% of the exterior body panels were actually made from some specialized plastics. Underneath all that plastic, it actually rode on a heavily tweaked third-gen Civic, and its standard 1.3-liter base model was an absolute efficiency monster. Paired with that ultralight chassis, it was pulling an absurd 51 miles per gallon. But obviously everyone wanted more. Over in Europe and Japan, it had a 1.5-liter engine with their new fuel injection, bumping it to a solid 100 horses. Here in the US, we finally got some performance in 1985 with the CRXSI. It had port injection, 91 horses, a sunroof, 13-inch alloys, and a little ducktail spoiler. But guys, the true holy grail is the JDM-SI, or the Type AS. It had a 1.6-liter dual overhead cam ZC engine and put out 135 horsepower. In a car this light, that meant a 0 to 60 time of just 7.8 seconds. They also knew how to celebrate a win. To flex their success supplying engines in Formula One, they dropped the F1 Special Edition in 1986 and only made 400 of these. So, how did the market react to all of this? They absolutely ate it up. The SI started at just $8,000, massively undercutting rivals like the MR2, which was over $11,000, and the Pontiac Fiero. And the 86 facelift pushed sales to the moon, moving over 66,000 units globally that year alone. By the time the first generation wrapped up in 1987, it was an undeniable smash hit. For the second generation, they moved over to the brand new 4th-gen Civic platform. But we have to start with the suspension. Instead of those space-saving torsion bars and rigid rear beam axle from the first one, they dropped in a 4-wheel double wishbone setup. Let me explain why this is such a huge deal for a little hatchback. It drastically lowers unsprung weight, meaning the wheels can react instantly to bumps and dips without unsettling the rest of the car. It went from being a bouncy, hyperactive little hatch to an absolute precision carving instrument with insane high-speed stability and grip. If you were in the US, you wanted the SI. That 1.6-liter D16A6 engine let it sprint to 60 miles per hour in under 9 seconds. And while America was enjoying the single overhead cam SI, Japan and Europe got something that permanently altered the sport compact scene, the VTEC. In 1990, Honda dropped the JDM-SIR, or the Type EF8, and the European 1.6 IVT, or the Type EE8. These bad boys were packing the legendary B16A engine with variable valve timing and lift electronic control, or the VTEC. They also bumped the displacement to 1.6-liter, and it put out 150 to 160 horsepower and around 112 pound-feet of torque. This was also a historic milestone, because the B16A was the first naturally aspirated engine ever to hit 100 horsepower per liter. And by the time production wrapped up in 1991, they had built over 171,000 of these second-gen legends. It firmly cemented it as one of the absolute greatest front-wheel drive sports cars ever engineered. In 1992, Honda decided to completely flip the script. Riding now on the 5th-generation Civic, the successor was officially named the CRX Del Sol. In the States, though, they just called it the Civic Del Sol until 1995, when they finally dropped the Civic part of the name. Instead of giving us another pure, lightweight hatchback, Honda took a massive gamble. They turned it into a funky two-seater target-top roadster. And in North America, it initially had a 125-horsepower single overhead cam engine with 14-inch alloys. But the undisputed king was the VTEC trim that dropped in 1994 with a 1.6-liter B16A engine, putting out 160 horses and 118 pound-feet of torque, and came exclusively with a slick 5-speed manual. Naturally, Japan got the craziest version. Their top-tier SIR, or the Type E G2, had a tuned B16A making 170 horses, an optional limited slip differential, and traction control. The 90s was a golden era for sports cars, and the Del Sol had to go head-to-head with heavyweights like the Miata and the mid-engine MR2. So how did people react? Honestly, it was pretty polarized. Because they marketed it as the direct replacement for the CRX, hardcore fans were upset that it had gotten softer and much heavier. And because of that weight, it understeered a bit more. And in magazine tests, the Miata universally beat it in handling and suspension. The Miata was just a better street-legal go-kart. Unfortunately, the global market for two-seat roadsters started to dry up in the late 90s. In the US, it peaked in 1993 with about 25,000 units sold. But by 1995, that number got cut almost in half to 14,021. And by its final year, they only sold 5,603 cars. It quietly faded away, ending the CRX lineage for good.